Hi, thank you so much for joining me for today's process video, and today it is our One Sketch 3 Ways, a monthly series that I join in on with my lovely friends Helen and Jackie. I'll leave their details in the description box below along with further details about our Facebook group and things. So today I decided to grab my Pink Fresh Studio, no, Pretty Little Studio, gosh, I always get those two confused. Pretty Little Studio Good Vibrations collection, and I'm going to do a bit of machine sewing. I've popped the sketch in the top left hand corner there. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. This sketch is from Page Maps. You can see it in the top left hand corner there. So to create those two lines on the sketch, I decided to use my sewing machine and some black thread just to do some wonky lines going across the page. So this is Good Vibrations from Pretty Little Studio, as I mentioned. I've got 3 photos that I've trimmed down a little bit so that they're 3 by 3 approximately, and this is of Mum's birthday. It was her 80th birthday this year, and we had some celebrations a couple of days early because we were off on a cruise, so we decided to celebrate as a family a little bit early, and my niece got her granny some party poppers, but I don't think she even noticed them because she was so busy looking at her cakes. She didn't really notice when we popped them all, but it was good fun anyway. So you can see I've just matted these photos onto white cardstock, and I'm going to trim them down just so that they've got a small white border around the edges. This just provides a little bit of differentiation between that and the pattern papers that I'm adding behind as layers, just to make the photos stand out a little bit more. So this Good Vibrations collection was a really good choice because it's got the lovely reds and oranges in it, which go nicely with the photos. Mum's got her beautiful red dress on. So that's why I chose this collection. So just finishing trimming those off, and then I can carry on creating the layout. So there we go. So there are the photos, and that's the strip of paper that I'm going to have behind them. And at first I try and layer them per the sketch, but it doesn't quite work for me with the way that my photos are, so I do end up manipulating those a little bit, but I'm very happy with the way they turned out in the end. So I wanted the picture of Mum with her cake as the first picture, then the one of the party poppers in the middle, and then the last one where she's actually starting to eat her cake. So I'm just going to map them onto this pattern paper just to bring a bit more of that red in, and then I'll distress the edges and get them situated on that star paper. There we go, so just trimming them up, and then I'll grab my edge distresser. I always use the Tim Holtz edge distresser, but if you haven't got a distresser you could use the edges of your scissors or an emery board or anything like that really. So just trimming off the tails of my thread. I pulled the thread through to the front of the card rather than to the back because I like that messy look, so that's why that's that way around. So just checking how I want them. And then I decide that I'm actually going to add some mixed media behind to start with. So starting with Tattered Rose, I'm just using my brayer to brayer that onto the background, but it really doesn't show. It's a very pale colour anyway, and then when you add water and dilute it down, it's just too pale. So I scratch that and come in with this one, which I think is Spice Marmalade. I can't see it terribly well on my small screen, but hopefully you can see that. If it's not Spice Marmalade, it's Dry Marigold, but I'm pretty sure it's Spice Marmalade. So just using my brayer again, just to roller that onto the background. And I keep bringing my paper in just to check that I've gone far down enough and far up enough so that it still shows when I bring that back in. And then a few splatters just to deepen the colour on that background, and then I'll leave that to dry. There we go. So now just while it's drying, distressing the edges of those papers that I mentioned, and then I can get those sorted on the background paper. I'm going to add more mixed media to the background, but I just want those spots to dry before I go ahead with that. So decide to distress this piece as well. So just quickly running that edge distresser along this. I do love these papers. I think the colours in them are just something different. You know, you don't see these in a lot of the other collections that are around. So here's where I decide to arrange my photos. So I've got my sketch in front of me and I'm just having a look at how they are on the sketch. And then I'll glue them down with my ATG. And you can see the way I'm sort of moving things around, deciding whether that photo goes under or over. And it does look nice there actually, but I decide that I'm not quite happy, so I just move these two up a little bit. And that's it. So now I'm going to create those circular elements that you see on the sketch, and I'm using one of the Hey Little Magpie Distressed Grids stamps, and I'm using Lumberjack Plaid, I think it is, the red that I've decided to use. So I'm just stamping that in two places, one above and one below that strip. And then I'm coming in with some of our other stamps. This is the Life Captured set. Just watering down the Lumberjack Plaid again, and I'm using the stars that are in this collection just to add a few watered down star stamps on the background again. A lot of these get covered up, but it's just to provide that little bit of interest poking out around the papers on the page. So while I go ahead with this stamping, please do remember to check the description box down below to see Helen and Jackie's video. And also, if you're on Facebook, do come and join us on Facebook. We've got a group where everybody shares their layouts each month, and it's just a bit of fun, and hopefully it inspires you to create some more layouts. So coming back in with that orange, the Spice Marmalade, you can see I've added a bit too much water, so I'm just going to dot that up a little bit with some paper tissue and then carry on. I don't necessarily need them to be star shapes, but I just wanted to create a little bit more texture on the background really. So now adding them directly from the stamp pad, and then I'll go over, I think I go over with my paintbrush, yes, just to blend those in a little bit. There we go, so that's how it's going to look. I decide that that paper's just a little bit too long, so I'm just trimming off the edge where the photos aren't, and then distressing that edge again. And then I'm going to glue that down. So just bringing in my T-square ruler to check that I do get it on straight before I carry on. There we go. So now coming in with some of the lovely bits and pieces from this Good Vibrations collection. I've got most of the die cuts in a little envelope now that I keep everything in together. And I'm just having a look through to see what I can use. And I see Happy, so I want to use that as part of my title, which is going to be Happy 80th. And then I find this piece that says Go For It, and I think that works really nicely because she was about to blow out her candles. So just going to find some floral elements to layer behind that, just to make it pop out a little bit more. And I will mount that Go For It title up onto foam pads just so that it stands out above those floral bits. So just a few more bits. I found this lovely orange heart that I thought would work nicely. So I'll add the foam pads onto the foam heart to make it stand up. And then just some wet glue to get those florals stuck down, and I just add the glue to the middle of the florals so that the rest of it can still stand proud a little bit. I like dimension on my pages, so I just curl up those edges ever so slightly. And then here I am adding the foam pads to that title just so that it casts a shadow and is more obvious on top of those florals. So happy with that, and now I want to work on my actual title. I'm just bringing in a few of the blue flowers just to add something else to that cluster. I felt it was looking a little bit small, so I wanted to bring it over to the right a little bit more. So there we go, just tucking those ones in there. And then just for continuity, bringing the same florals up to the top. So I add the bigger one behind, and then that smaller one I do actually mount onto some foam shortly. Some little word phrases that work. One says document this, so I'm going to add that to that photo. And this is where I decide to add a foam pad to that floral, just to raise it up a bit. So I'm going to add foam to this happy because I want to add the rest of my title using the Hey Little Magpie stamp set, the James stamps. So I'm just bringing those out. First of all, stamping with the solid, and I'm going to stamp out 80th. Now I'm going to cut these out individually using the coordinating dies, so I'm not too bothered about exactly how I stamp them, just making sure that I do them far enough apart so that I can die cut them after. So I'll start with the spice marmalade again with the solid, and then I'm going to come in with the lumberjack plaid and adding the outline using the outline stamp set. And then once that's done, I shall use the dies to cut all of those letters out. So here we go. Didn't make you watch me doing that. And I decided to add an exclamation mark as well at the end. So just working out where those letters are going to go. And I'm going to have them overlapping and higgledy-piggledy across the page there, because that's just the look I really like. And it's easier than trying to get everything absolutely straight as well, truth be told. So I'm adding foam to the top part, but the bottom part overlaps the photo, so I don't need to add anything to that. So nearly there, just the last exclamation mark to add, and then I can add a bit of glue to those ones that are overlapping the photos just to get them stuck down. There we go. So I still need to add my journaling, so I'm going to do that now using my T-square ruler and a pencil just to create the lines. And then I can add the journaling along there. And then I also need to add the date, so I'm bringing in my roller date stamp just to add that at the bottom. Just checking that I'm happy with the title. So now I want to have a look through the stickers and see what else I can add. So I find this beautifully you, so I think that works nicely there. And then a little heart that goes at the top. And then you can do this, which I just think is sweet. So that fills in the side nicely. And then a couple of little word strips. One that says lovely days, which goes nicely there. And then another one that says full heart, which I'll add on the last photo. And finally, I'm going to add some gold splatters just to add a little bit more to that mixed media. And that's the layout done. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's provided you with some inspiration. Go and check out the girls. I'll see you again soon. Bye.